Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and non binary people. Hello, and welcome to People's Perspectives. I'm your host, Kevin Doney. My guest today is Madison.
Hello there, I'm Madison Baker.
Okay, so let's get started with the very somewhat recent development. And something that's kind of gone on your whole life. So, as a baby, you were born with brain cancer.
Yeah, I was born with the cancerous tumor on the left temporal lobe of my brain.
That's caused complications for you for your whole life.
Yeah, the seizures, and they weren't shaking seizures. They were ones that made it seem like my soul kind of left my body, like there was no one really there.
So, you had a surgery.
Yes,
So, before the surgery, were you taking medication for the seizures?
I was. I took. The seizures popped up again about a year before that. They would happen when I was a kid, but not in such a strong way that they would really take me over and make me non-responsive. Yeah, not able to respond. And so then when they came back, they would like knock me out. I would be gone for a few minutes. I would come back, and it made it actually obvious. And so I was taken to the doctors to get it checked out. It took a long while till they actually found something. And I had a lot of different brain scans and checkups. They had me wear all the wires and stuff for a few days, about a 3-day thing, I think it was. I would be taken to a hospital. They would hook up wires in different parts of my head and hair and then wrap it in a bandage. It was crazy. I wouldn't go to school because I would be really embarrassing. But it happened several times and they still hadn't found anything. And it was weird that they finally found it in my sleep. Because, of course, I was asleep. I never knew that they would happen in my sleep as well. Didn't see it coming.
So you got woken up by police officers in your room?
I did twice, yeah. My mom called an ambulance because I had shaking seizures in my sleep. I had never known about that. And yeah, so of course, since I was sleeping, I would wake up and all of a sudden men were all around my room and it was insane. And of course, they can't do anything when it comes to seizures. I'm not taken to the hospital because it's something that can't be found after it happens. It's something that needs to be caught right at the moment.
So during your sleep, that could have happened like countless of times before, and you never would have known.
Yep.
So most people don't know this. So there's different types of seizures, right? They're not all just the same. Right?
No. There were actually like posters and stuff in some of the hospital rooms explaining the watch out different things you would need to look for, like twitching. Sometimes it's a seizure if the person is just twitching and like nodding their head over a couple times. I'm not sure if I can remember all of them. Yeah, there was another one that was mine. I would just like be gone for a few minutes.
So the surgery happened last year.
Yes, a little over a year ago now, June 29th, 2018.
And so the reason you've had a tumor in your brain all your life until last year is because the tumor was benign.
Yeah.
So then the reason for the surgery happening when it did was because the seizures got worse.
Yes. It was finally found. The medicines I was taking didn't work. They still didn't work.
Okay, so then now with the tumor removed from your brain, the medication you're taking works.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have a seizure unless I miss the medication for a day or something. As long as I'm on it, they won't happen.
That's good.
It's very good. I feel very lucky.
Do you believe that there's a huge amount of ignorance towards people with disabilities such as yourself?
Yeah. I mean, there's been difficulty in school. They don't understand exactly. They didn't exactly know what to do. Because after my surgery, since they removed that part of my brain, I had short term memory loss. And I'm guessing that's not something they have to deal with on a regular basis because nothing was ever set up. I explained to all my teachers, the school knew about it and everything. They, it's not something they're used to.
And so you had to end up going, you had to switch to getting homeschooled because it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So this is my viewpoint. I could be wrong. I think that it's because of a lack of funding and a lack of training for those types of students, because at least the school district I went to, there was a fair number of kids with who were disabled mentally or physically, and got along fine. That there were two things with it. There were specific people on staff assigned to take them around or go around with them and help supervise them and make sure that they're taken care of, taken care for, given care properly. And also, there was a program at my school called Peer Collaboration where they encourage high school students, and many of them often do end up doing it, where you end up being put in some random class. Sometimes it's just to help out students who are struggling, but other times it can be that there's a student in that course with a disability, and it's your job to help them out primarily.
That sounds amazing, but unfortunately, at the Springfield North High School, it was not something set up at all. I was treated like a normal student.
Right, and it seems to me that something that needs to change in education in America is restructuring to at least how students are treated, because people with disabilities need to be accommodated differently
Yes.
because of their disabilities. I'm not sure how much you've been writing music recently, but how has going through the experience you've had with your brain cancer and everything, and the seizures in your life and everything, how has that, if at all, influenced your approach to and your passion for music?
Well, I remember before my surgery, I used to go to Yellow Springs a lot to this cafe, and I would perform an open mic like every single week. I would do the same songs even. The first time I did it, of course, I ran off stage crying because of my stage fright without even starting the song. I was sobbing and I ran right off. And this is a small place. It wasn't big at all. There was probably less than 10 people there. But when I went back up there and I did it, I loved it and I continued to go back. I went there, yeah, every single week. Even performing the same songs, of course. But I loved it, and I felt like I had more of a possibility to get up there. But I think since after my surgery, since it was a lot to go through, it did make me less confident. And so for the first time in over a year, I went back to the cafe and I played again. I only played 2 songs, and when I held my hand out, it was shaking like crazy. So we stopped, but I think my confidence is finally going back up. I've started working out again, going back to my normal self. I think things are finally turning around.
That's great. What is your stance on the potential federal legality of marijuana?
Well, since I had cancer and it was seizures, I am fully on it. Like that is something, it's something used as a distraction and as a medication when it comes to me and seizures, people who have seizures. It's something that will, let's see, yeah, it just takes your mind off of it. It relieves stress, which is something that causes seizures. Stress and difficult situations can cause those, and I guess it's something relaxing that helps people.
Right.
Of course, it affects different people.
And of course, you're using it legally, medically, like in the state of Ohio.
Yes.
Right. So, um, And of course, it's not the case everywhere. Medical use of marijuana isn't legal everywhere in the U.S.
Yeah, it's not.
And that should be changed.
I do. I do think that. I agree.
Um, I believe I've heard some things about just not even cannabinoids or whatever they're called, but just the cannabis oils, which don't even make you high, like those also help people too.
Yeah, and those are legal. Those are sold in stores and stuff, the oil. Like Riley just told me, apparently his mom uses them on the dogs for maybe helping with their itching. It's used for a lot of different things. I know my own mom uses it actually.
Do you think that the resistance towards marijuana is primarily based upon fear and a lack of understanding?
Yes. It can be used in several different ways as well. Not just medical.
Right, yeah. Recreational. Have you had any experience with body shaming?
Yeah. Yes.
So have people in your school, they've done that to you?
Yeah, it's not something that really affects me personally. Um, I still think it's crazy that it's continued to be normal. I can't.
Yeah, it's like school shootings.
Yeah. It's always something mentioned in arguments. There are lots of different body sizes and just different types of bodies in general. Of course, that's normal for people to be different. I still don't understand how it's something people tell each other.
Do you think the reason a significant amount of people have this attitude towards other people's bodies is insensitivity and a lack of respect?
Yeah. Of course, it's also said that when someone's putting you down like that, they're also feeling the same way and just trying to make themselves more confident.
Right. Why do you think some women out there aren't feminists?
Someone out there, like, why
Some women out there. Why do you think some women out there aren't feminists?
aren't?
Yeah.
Maybe they're already up there and they feel fine. They feel like they're not being disrespected or put below any kind of, yeah, just like there isn't a difference if a man would do the same thing they were doing.
Right. Like a difference in their lives. Right?
Yeah.
Do you think that a contributing factor to why some men are resistant towards feminism is because they don't understand what it actually is, what it means?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe they're not really listening to what someone else would be explaining, like how they would explain it, and they're just thinking in their head. So women want to rise above, or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some men actually like genuinely believe that that's what feminism is when it's just really just gender equality.
Yeah, instead of just trying to be equal.
Do you believe that today in America, gay people are prejudiced against and treated less than by some people?
I read comments and stuff still, and it's probably little boys saying the stuff like that. Maybe not. I mean, I've tried to check out some accounts, seeing who it really is, but some of these comments are still like saying it should be illegal and everything. And I even see some, of course, the accounts I follow aren't up there in respective or anything, but they do say some pretty bad things.
Do you think something that do you believe that people spending so much time on the internet can distort their perception of reality and how they view others in their lives and problems in America?
I really do. The internet, I personally feel like it's relied on too much now. Of course, there's a lot of different things about it that aren't really on that topic, but I think it's caused people to be lazy. They don't see reality like out in public as much.
Do you think that's part of why people have these insensitive views towards societies, because they've allowed themselves to become disconnected and a bit heartless?
Yeah. Instead of actually going out and communicating in person, really viewing the world instead of just staying on a phone.
Do you think that's the internet's fault? Do you think that's any sort of responsibility of any of the big social media platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or is that just an inherent flaw in people?
I mean, really all mixed together. Of course, the internet can be used for good things. It doesn't have to go away. It just needs to be controlled a little more, I guess. Of course, it still needs to be something we could be free to use. But it's gone a little too far.
Let's talk about the control aspect. So, as we all know, the First Amendment is freedom of speech. Would you say that saying racist things violates the First Amendment?
I mean, it's freedom of speech, but it's still wrong to say stuff like that.
But so then someone would still have the legal right to say those things.
I think so. They would still have a right, but
So do you think that unless someone's calling for a call to action to harm other people or to harm a specific person, then they should be allowed to say whatever they want?
maybe. Like,
Unless it's specifically directly is harming other people, unless it's shouting, for example, fire in a movie theater when there's no fire, and then someone could get hurt from that, or threatening someone online, or threatening someone in person, or whichever, stuff like that. Unless it's something like that, then would someone have the right to say that? Or would that be okay?
yeah.
I think it's an important discussion to have, because very much so today there's this ongoing debate within Silicon Valley over harassment and the concept of hate speech,
Yeah.
and where the line is when it comes to people being allowed to say what they want online. And it's a significant issue. It's led many to believe that there's conservative bias, and there's some people that believe that there is no conservative bias, and that if someone is getting banned, then they deserve because they've done something wrong. But then there's the other side of the debate that's saying that there is a bias, and that's why they got banned.
If you're protecting yourself, I mean, that's different. Like a threat to protect yourself.
Let's talk about abortion. So, this is a topic of very heated discussion in modern politics today. You can edit that out for sure. So, should women have the right to an abortion?
I think so, yes.
Why should women have the right to an abortion?
I don't want to start out with a specific one, but as long like I've tried to research some stuff about that, specific ways the baby grows and everything, to make sure it would really be okay, as long as you're not really hurting and making someone suffer. If it's true, and the different things I've read, they've said, like, they've explained the amount of time it would take the brain of the baby to finally, like, start to have feelings and be able to feel things like pain, and things that would cause it to actually be like injuring someone. It would take a minute. So I really feel like if the baby has not grown up so much that it would suffer, it should be legal.
Right, so then there should be some sort of law that says past that point, no abortions beyond this point in the pregnancy, right?
Yeah. And this is like a small thing as well that I believe how we've become overpopulated and everything. It's really causing getting jobs hard and finding a house to live at difficult. It's also something that being forced to have the child could, it would make it even worse. I feel like if the person really knew that she wasn't ready or she just didn't want it, then it should be fine.
What would you say to the argument that women who don't want to have to deal with an unwanted pregnancy shouldn't have sex? What would you say to that argument?
It's something normal. I mean, condoms and things were made. Different things to help it not happen. Birth control, all that. It was made. And of course, if you're not using any of those things to help and it happens, I guess, yeah, I guess it should still be legal. But it should still be legal to not have the child, but you should still be safe. You should still only do it if you're being safe about it.
So, gun control, that's a whole debate. There's generally two sides to it. There's a little bit of a gray area in between. Some people think that guns should just straight up not be used by anyone. All types of firearms. Illegal. That's what some people think should happen. Some people think you should be able to use whatever kind of gun you want. Some people are in between, where they think that assault weapons should be banned. Some people have the argument that there should be some guns legal because cities like New York City are a dangerous place, and it would be nice to just have a pistol in case some creep tries to sexually assault you, or other arguments like that. There's a bunch of different facets to this whole gun control debate. What's your stance on guns?
Well, even if they were all banned, just like drugs, you can get them from different countries and bring them in. I do wish it could be something like only police officers having them to try and stop different robberies and things like that.
But of course, there's a different level of danger depending on the type of gun you're using, right? Like the fire rate and such. Did you know this? I didn't know this until very recently. Did you know that for 10 years in the United States, assault weapons were banned? 1994 to 2004. Specifically, assault weapons were banned in the United States. I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
When I found that out, at least to me, the solution seems obvious. So you think that only police should have access to firearms?
Yeah, and I kind of got another idea, like maybe just citizens could also have firearms, but maybe they would have to stay at their homes for protection at their own property. Something like that. Because right now you're able to take them wherever you want. Really.
Right,
almost.
yeah. I saw this photo online of some dude, like, standing in, like, it must have been, like, some Starbucks type place, and he had this big gun strapped to his back.
I'm pretty sure a couple months ago I saw a guy walking into Speedway and his gun was right at his hip.
Geez, Springfield.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that, like, violates gun laws, because I'm pretty sure that the way gun laws work is you're allowed to carry a gun on you, but it's supposed to be hidden.
I hear more about robberies than someone protecting a business or a building with a gun they brought.
Yeah.
I hear way more about robberies when a gun is brought into a building than a gun saving.
Right. Yeah, and there's... Anyway, the law I was thinking of, I was blanking out on it, so I was being kind of vague, but it's okay. Called conceal and carry. Pretty sure that's the way it works. If you're not doing conceal and carry, I'm pretty sure that's kind of illegal. I could be wrong, though. But yeah, that's kind of funny. You hear about places getting robbed more when someone walks in with a gun than anything else.
Yeah.
What about legal immigration? So people coming into the country illegally, these dreamers, these illegal immigrants living in the country, usually paying taxes, working jobs. What's your stance on illegal immigration?
I've heard a lot of different people's opinions. I feel like, really, it should be okay. I don't personally really have a problem with it. It hasn't bugged my life specifically. It's never come in the way for me. But I have heard people complaining about, yeah, this once again, jobs being harder to get because they would take the job and a real citizen wouldn't be able to get it. Some different things like that.
So the issue is the illegal immigrants are already here. There's a very significant number of them. But do you think that they should all be deported, or they should be given a path to citizenship? Or do you think because they've already come in illegally, they've forfeited any sort of access to citizenship, they should just be deported out of the country?
Personally, I think I'm fine with it. They could stay as long as it's not causing issues,
Right.
like bigger things, you know. I mean, of course they've like robberies have happened from them and everything. Of course, that's a reason for them to be sent back.
Cool.
Robberies have also happened from them. Also, bringing in drugs. That's another reason why they've come. Bringing in drugs from different countries.
Right, yeah. That's definitely something that needs to be acknowledged more.
Yeah.
I guess the issue becomes when people believe that all of the immigrants are the same in doing those things. Do you think a wall is a proper solution to preventing future migrants from coming in illegally?
I mean, yeah, it probably would help if it was a wall and there was always people in the military there keeping track and everything, always watching out. Then yeah, it would help with that.
I think part of the problem and what's upsetting a lot of people is trying to do it all at once. It seems like that's what the president's approach has been, is to try to do it all at once.
Yep.
And I guess when you think about it, like, not necessarily a wall through along the entire border, but a wall in places where people are coming in
Yeah.
would help, but at least a little bit. But I think I think what's the part of it that's upsetting other people, I think, is that it's trying to be done all at once,
Yep.
and people look at how much it would cost, and that upsets them. It upsets them because Social Security is going to fail as it currently stands.
Yep.
And by the time we're supposed to receive Social Security, it's going to fail our generation. That's something that people get upset about when they hear the figure,
Definitely.
the price tag on that big old wall. So I think that the wall itself isn't the problem necessarily,
Exactly. I agree with that.
but the way it's being done, the way it's being proposed by the Republicans, the conservatives. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
I agree with you.
Gay people. Do you believe that it's okay for gay people to get married?
I do. It's not something that. Why would it bother someone?
Do you think that any issues arise as a result of the people participating in Pride Month?
No. No. I mean, I just have a bad friend that's not really. He doesn't. I don't know how to describe it really. Yeah, I think Pride Month is something very good. It's something good to continue to. I don't know. Just it points what happened. It points out what happened. Something great that happened.
Do you think that one of the issues of this administration, the Trump administration, is a lack of communication compared to the previous one?
Yeah.
And perhaps also a denial of facts and stirring up of almost like fueling conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I'm going to splice this into earlier. So this is a complicated issue. It's something very common in European countries. Has yet to be implemented in the United States. It has been proposed by one of the candidates running for president for the 2020 election. I want your thoughts on it. Very somewhat complicated issue. Universal basic income. What are your thoughts on that?
Wait, universal income?
Universal basic income.
Yeah.
So all American citizens, 18 or older, would get a set amount of money per month. What's been proposed by one of the candidates for president is $1,000. It could be any specific set amount of money that all American citizens would get 18 or above on a regular basis, whether it's like monthly or yearly or whatever.
Yep. I think that's actually a great idea. It could definitely help families that really need it. I mean, of course, it could help with things like food, and maybe problems with maybe a house they had, or even getting a house. It would help them get a house. I think it's actually a really good idea.
Cool.
I'm sure there could be downs with it as well. I would just hope the money would be used in a good way.
Right. Bit of a hot button debate in modern politics in America today is the debate of transgender and people being that way. So people who, clarify for the audience, people who identify as a gender that they were not assigned at birth.
I think that's fine. I've never had a problem with people becoming transgender and switching. I mean, people have really been able to change. It's something legal. I'm glad that they've been able to actually become who they would like to be, make them feel more comfortable.
All right. So then the military restricting transgender people from joining the military, that would be an issue for you then.
Is that an idea they have? Is that a thing
that's currently already in place? Yeah.
Transgenders
exists,
are not allowed to join the military?
No. Recently, this administration did that. Yeah.
I did not hear about that. I mean, this is something that would be annoying. I feel like they should still be able to join. And I know this would be annoying. Still be like if you were a female and became transgender and became your real self as a male, then you would they'd still want you to be a female, be considered a female
member of the military.
Yeah, member of the military. So I would understand that, but just banning people who turn transgender, I think they should still be able to be in the military. I think that should change.
It almost seems extremely counterintuitive when I've heard recently that the military is lowering their standards for people coming in so that they can get more people to join the military, yet at the same time they're restricting the type of people they're allowing in.
That's pretty
Just doesn't make much sense to
me. It doesn't.
I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. Okay, let's talk about something I haven't really asked any other guests, but it's just on my mind. So, do you believe that the product line, the brand Juul, causes significant problems in America today?
Yes. My own little sister, who just turned 14, like 3 months ago, uses a Juul. Even asks my father for a Juul. Of course, he won't let her, but she always finds one because these people at high schools just give them right away and everything. I know my own friend uses one. It seems pretty easy to get one, even though you're so young.
Do you believe that the attitude towards Juul products needs to change?
Definitely. It's something different, but it still has nicotine. It's still something that causes cancer.
Do you believe that the normalization of Juul usage among teenagers has something to do with its marketing and its appearance as a product?
Yeah. My friend basically says she likes using it because it makes her feel more grown up. That's the reason she's given me. And others probably use it just to be cool. Yeah. I mean, we've always talked, even as kids, we would say, like, cigarettes are bad and everything. It's not something that different.
Right. Yeah, because it still contains nicotine. It's still a nicotine product. It almost seems like e-cigarettes are kind of replacing regular cigarettes as the slowly, gradually replacing regular cigarettes as one of the main drug problems among teenagers, other than stuff that isn't legal, such as like cocaine or crack or hard drugs like that.
Yeah. Of course, like, people who use them still call cigarettes so unhealthy, but so is this.
Right, because of the nicotine, because
Yeah.
how highly addictive it is. It's
Yeah,
scientifically
it's
proven to be highly addictive.
exactly. They are saying it's different, but it's really not.
Speaking of hard drugs, so currently in federal law, marijuana is listed as the same level of harm to public health as cocaine. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah. It is something like it can be used as a drug, it can be an addiction, but it can be used as different things. Of course, it's not as worse as other things.
I guess what I was asking was, does it make sense in the sense that, like, are those drugs, like, equally dangerous?
No.
So then would it make sense to have marijuana at the same level as cocaine in federal law?
No, I do not think it's the same at all.
Do you think people in America with a significant amount of money lack an understanding for people with less money than them?
Yeah, I do. They wouldn't have to go through the same situations as much. A lot more problems that we go through could be solved easier for them with the amount of money they have.
So then, for example, when those differences arise, like, so say someone with money might be friends with someone with less, and then those differences arrive, that person with more money might react in an inappropriate way or insensitively just because they don't really know how to react.
Yeah.
This was People's Perspectives. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching or tuning in. Madison, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. I'll see you or be listened by you in the next episode. Bye-bye. People's Perspectives is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play.